is Isa Mohammed Lawal. Like I said in our introductory class, I am to take Introduction to Sociology, Sociology 101, which is a basic course as a sociology student you must pass. For example, the question that is commonly asked is, what is sociology? For you to answer this question, you must tell the examiner what you know about sociology. If I'm to answer this question, I'll start like this. First, the word sociology is a combination of two Latin words, socio and logos. Socio means science, logos means society. Sociology was coined by Auguste Comte in the year 1838. That is why the discipline sociology is largely accredited to Auguste Comte. Now, sociology can be defined as the study of human behavior and social environment. You can as well define sociology as the study of human behavior and the society and the interaction that take place among them. Generally, philosophers, they believe that sociology is concerned with the study of man and society and the interaction that takes place, which define its general characteristics. But to give it a more scholarly definition, let's take the definition of Auguste Comte. To him, he said, sociology is the fact and program of science of society, which is comparable to science of nature in terms of rigor, method, systematic interconnectedness, which is free from emotion and ethical valuation. Karl Marx, from his own angle, also a founding father of sociology, he says sociology is the science of social relation, which is grounded in the material world. We have another scholar like Max Weber. He also defines sociology as that science which concerns itself with interpretive understanding of social action, thereby with its cause and consequences. Having defined sociology from these various scholars, you will now come down to look at the basic focus of sociology as a discipline. But before we come to the focus of sociology as a discipline, I will briefly want to talk about the scientific nature of sociology, which is also one question that is mostly asked from Sociology 101. I once see a question that was asked that, what is sociology a science? If you have a vast knowledge of sociology, introduction to sociology, you are supposed to answer the question. You just answer the question in about a page or two paragraphs. The first thing you need to do is to define sociology, just like what we have done. Then you define science. For example, when you define sociology, that sociology is the study of human behavior and society. Sociology is the study of man and his environment. Sociology is the science of society. You can come with a scholarly definition to back it up. Then you define science. What is science? It is generally believed that science is a knowledge targeted at understanding the world around us. But to give it a more scholarly view, let's take a definition of Nagel. It defines science as the organization and classification of knowledge based on explanatory principles. Having defined this, you now bring the steps which science use. You can say that sociology can be considered as a science discipline because it adopts the same scientific method or steps in carrying out research. Steps such as systematization of thought. Sociology observes, observation of phenomena. You don't just imagine things, you observe. You collect your data based on your empirical findings. You formulate your hypothesis. What is hypothesis? Hypothesis is a state of relationship between two or more variables. For example, you want to research on the causes of crime in society. Now, crime and unemployment, there are two variables now. So what causes what? That comes about hypothesis. This is the same method science use. And from there, from your finding, you theorize, which is theory. They say a theory is a statement that provides explanation to the existence of a phenomenon. With this, you have been able to define sociology, define science, list the steps science carry out in the course of their research. Please don't forget, sociology has limitations. What are the limitations? Number one, we have complexity of human nature because we study human behavior and interaction. For example, as a researcher, if you are to study human being and to get facts, if human being knows that you are studying him or her, he might likely change. He will not give you the same result he gives you yesterday. Mr. A will not give you the same result Mr. B will give you. If you want to know the reason why Mr. Emmanuel drinks or smokes, it might be different from the reason why Mr. Ibrahim drinks or smokes. So that is why we say complexity of human nature. At the same time, another limitation of sociology is the subjective nature of the researcher himself. Me, as I'm sitting here, maybe I am a Muslim. If I'm to research on the causes of violence between religious violence in Kaduna State between Christians and Muslims, as a Muslim, I might take side. It's bound to happen because it is naturally embedded in us. Human being by nature is subjective. That is the argument for another day, because some sociologists say human being is not subjective. That human being can be objective when you carry out research, but you cannot be 100% objective and value free. The final one, social phenomena, they are not the same. They are different. It's just like science. If science is observing inanimate objects, even if they observe it 100 times, it is likely to give them the same result 100 times, but it is not so in sociology. So to cap it all, if you're asked, what is sociology? Number one, you give as many definitions of sociology. You cap it with a scholarly definition. Then you come down to scientific nature of sociology, or you might take the focus of sociology. What sociology, what is their area of what is their subject of concern, which is where I'm coming to now. Then if you are asked questions like is sociology a science? This is a very big question. Don't just say yes, sociology is a science and you go and submit your script. No, it requires you to write about sociology, which is the definitions of sociology by different scholars even your own understanding of sociology. You define science. You just to clarify the two concepts that is attached to the motion, sociology and science. You outline the steps and you give the limitation. You have answered the question. I am not assuring you that when you submit it you have 100%, but this is how you go about answering the question. If you are asked why is sociology a science, or is sociology a science discipline? So now I'm coming to my the third heading I want to discuss now, which is the focus of sociology. When they say the focus of sociology, what are those subjects? What are those areas of concern of sociology? There are 5 major areas which sociology centered their concerns on. The first one is configuration. Configuration has to do with the various parts in society. For example, we have the family as an institution. We have religion as an institution. We have education. We have politics. We have law. You name as many as possible. So sociology believes that these parts, they make up society, and sociology is interested in studying the various parts in the society and how they function, how they interrelate and interdepend on one another. Second one is social dynamic. What do you mean by social dynamic? This has to do with changes that are taking place over a period of time. For example, if you want to know the cause of the reason why a particular society has developed and another society is underdeveloped, you have to look at some changes that has taken place. The way society is presently is not the way it was then. Sociology is interested in the social dynamic thing. Another one is patterns and regularities of social phenomena. These are specific ways of how individual behaves in a particular phenomenon, in a particular way, a kind of dominant way, things that is happening that is determining the way they behave in the society. For example, armed robbery, they have a pattern, the way they operate. Like armed robbers have a pattern way they carry out their operations. Kidnappers, they have pattern ways in which they carry out their operations. Like you in school, some students in school, they write exams. During examination period, they wrote answers and some other chips. They hide it under their legs, under their locker. These are some of the things we refer to as patterns and regularities of social phenomenon. We have latent and manifest. What we mean by latent is the intended consequences of our actions or of our behaviors. For example, when computer was invented, it is not intended to cause unemployment. It is intended to improve our technology and improve the environment that we live in. But today, the advent of computer, if you go to some banks, what human beings do, it is now being done by computer. So therefore, the banks have to reduce the number of staff they are supposed to employ. So now, what the computer actually does is the manifest function, while the negative consequences of it is what we call the latent function. The final one, social context. These are the intricate network of social interaction in which individuals enter into in their daily activities. What do I mean? For example, the way I'm expected to behave when I'm in the mosque is different from the way I behave when I'm in film hall or a beer parlor. This is trying to tell us that the different contexts we find ourselves shapes the way we behave in the various environments individual find himself. So the focuses of sociology, I have said the first one is configuration, The second one is social dynamic. The third one is patterns and regularities of social phenomena. The fourth one is manifest and latent functions. And the last one is social context. To cap it all this has to do with what is sociology in is very very holistic. If a lecturer is to ask question, maybe in a test or in an exam, and he says what is sociology, please students, do not just give definition of sociology and leave it at that. You give the definition of sociology, give few definition of the founding fathers of sociology, maybe one, two, or three, just like I have just did. You come down and define the scientific status of sociology. That is to say, why is sociology a science? That is sociology really a science? Then you come down to the subject matter or the focus of sociology, like I have just done. At this juncture, I would like to say thank you. When we meet next, I shall take a brief historical background of sociology, though it's not much, and I'll take the founding fathers of sociology. Thank you very much.